All right, so that is the bilateral that is presently ongoing between US President Donald Trump and the German Chancellor Angela Merkel. And also India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who's also a part of this G7 summit, is holding several bilateral meetings on the sidelines of this summit today. Now, of course, the most anticipated one will, of course, be with his meeting with US President Donald Trump that is expected to take place in about 45 minutes from now. The meet is expected to last about half an hour to 45 minutes, and this will, of course, be the second time that the two leaders will be meeting this year. Last time round, they had met during the G20 summit in Osaka in the month of June. Remember, the bilaterals come in the backdrop of India having revoked the special status of Jammu and Kashmir, besides the issue of trade tensions that India and the United States are presently thrashing out. Now, President Trump has offered to, of course, mediate on the Kashmir issue. He's done this not once, not twice, but 3 times. But India has, of course, made it abundantly clear that there is no room for any third-party involvement or mediation over the issue of Jammu and Kashmir. And just a short while back, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also met with the President of Senegal, Macky Sall. And also Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to hold a bilateral meeting with German Chancellor Angela Merkel. This is expected to begin soon as the bilateral between President Trump and Angela Merkel ends. Now remember, they had last met on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Osaka earlier in June. And also Prime Minister Narendra Modi's last bilateral engagement will be with the President of Chile, Sebastián Piñera. Now, Piñera is in fact one of the several non-G7 leaders who's been invited to the summit. And also yesterday, the Prime Minister met with Boris Johnson for the first time since Boris Johnson became the British Prime Minister. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated Boris Johnson on the United Kingdom's victory in the 3rd Test match of the Ashes.
7 various delegations, they could have their own buildings. So and they could have buildings for the press. It's very big, great conference facilities. So we're thinking about it. They love the location of the hotel, and they also like the fact that it's right next to the airport for convenience. And it's Miami, Doral, Miami. So it's a great area.
Chancellor, can you say something on Russia?
We haven't found anything that could even come close to competing with it, especially when you look at the location being right next to the airport. Because so many places are so far away, the drive is so long, and you need helicopters, you need all sorts of things. This is something you can be there in literally a matter of minutes after you land. So I think they will appreciate that.
Chancellor, can you give us your views on Russia?
Wir werden sicherlich gleich darüber sprechen, ob wir eine Chance haben, mit dem neuen ukrainischen Präsidenten und dem russischen Präsidenten beim Minsk-Abkommen voranzukommen. Wir haben kleine Fortschritte jetzt schon gemacht mit Präsident Zelensky und dann werden wir bewerten, wie weit wir in den nächsten Monaten kommen. Ich habe ein großes Interesse daran, dass wir die Probleme gelöst bekommen. Es gibt genug Probleme auf der Welt, die noch zu lösen sind.
Madam Chancellor, did you invite
We will certainly address these issues in our talks here. I want to see a talk held between and a meeting between the Ukrainian President, Mr. Zelensky, the new Ukrainian President, and the Russian President. We wish to see progress made on the Minsk agreement. We've already made, as we saw, small progress with President Zelensky, and I think we have to try and bring this forward in the next few months to come. I, at any rate, have every interest in bringing about a solution to this. It is a big problem, and we have enough problems in the world as it is, so I think we ought to make progress on this one.
Mr. President, the G7 is about to lose its only female leader. Are you concerned that the world isn't doing enough to promote female leaders around the world?
I'm still here.
She may surprise you. She may be here a long time. I know her well. I don't know that you're right about that. I don't know that you're right about that at all.
Mr. President, speaking on female leaders, are you signing on to any of the gender equality initiatives and also the African Partnership Initiative?
Well, we're looking at it very carefully. We had some very good meetings on that, yes, very, very good meetings. Really productive. It was something that we are looking at very seriously as a country, as an endorsement as a country, yeah. So we're looking at that very seriously.
Mr. President, did you discuss monetary policy with any of these leaders?
Not too much.
Germany, of course, is pretty cheap money right now.
It may come up at the very end in our last meeting. I think we're going to be discussing that a little bit, but we haven't had that meeting yet. It's a big thing, monetary policy. Very big.
And fiscal policy.
And fiscal.
Madam Chancellor, did you invite the President to Berlin and what was his answer?
Wie ich Ihnen schon gesagt habe, habe ich den Präsidenten schon vielfach eingeladen und Sie haben ja erst seine Antwort gehört.
As I've already told you, I've invited the President repeatedly on previous occasions, and you have heard his answers.
We'll be there. We'll be there. It's very honored by the invitation, and that's true. And we will be there, and maybe soon. It's, you know, I have German in my blood. I'll be there.
Would you make a stop on the way to Poland, for example?
Well, I haven't thought of that, but it could happen. We have, it's a little soon. It's a little soon. But we'll be in Poland, I guess, next week. And then we'll be heading back. It's a little bit too soon, but we're going to be there very soon in Germany. Okay? Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to do this. I'll go through that.
All right, so that, of course, was the bilateral meeting that was held between the U.S. President and the German Chancellor Angela Merkel there. That's taking place even as we speak. And to add more perspective in terms of the events that are presently unfolding in the resort town of Biarritz in France, we are in our studios, joined in by India's former ambassador to the United States, Arun Singh. Ambassador Arun Singh, thank you very much indeed, sir, for joining us on this broadcast in WION. And let me begin by asking you this, because there was a very interesting exchange that just took place in the question and answers where, you know, one of the reporters asked that we may not have a woman leader in the G7, for which Angela Merkel responded by saying, look, I'm still here.
Well, not only that, and of course, you saw President Trump said that she may stay for a long time.
Absolutely.
But in terms of how the succession process is seen within Germany, in terms of present indications, the next leader in Germany could also be a woman.
All right.
So there could be non-male presence continuing.
Absolutely,
in the G7.
indeed. Now, one of the things that is being anticipated about, you know, it's in just about another half an hour, we expect the bilateral meeting between US President Donald Trump and the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi that will take place. Now, one of the issues that is, of course, there on everyone's mind is President Trump having raked up the issue of Kashmir and offering to mediate on this issue, not once, not twice, but 3 times. What do you think is going on?
In the US, I think the policy related to Kashmir has moved a bit back and forth, depending on kind of support they have needed from Pakistan at any point of time.
Right.
And way back in 2008, for instance, President Obama, while he was still a candidate, in an interview to Time magazine had said that perhaps US should look at mediation in Kashmir, perhaps the special envoy should be appointed. And there was speculation at that time whether Bill Clinton was being considered to be that special envoy. And there was a very severe and huge pushback from India that any such policy would not be acceptable, and it would damage the India-US relationship, which was just beginning to consolidate under President Bush when he had done the civil nuclear cooperation agreement with India. So after that, the Obama administration completely stayed away from that.
Right.
Even in the early 1990s, under President Bill Clinton, there was some talk of Kashmir being on the U.S. radar, where the U.S. would play some role. But I think as the U.S. relationship with India has consolidated bilaterally...
I want you to weigh in a bit, because you've been India's ambassador to the United States before. So how does this work? I mean, does it directly an idea that comes to the president? Has he spoken off the cuff, or do you think there have been other back-channel talks, some feelers that have been sent by the United States to India? How does this work?
My sense would be that the US administration generally has absorbed the point that India will not accept any third-party role, will resist, and it will only bring in negativity in the US-India relationship without the US achieving anything. And I think that they've absorbed for some time. But President Trump has shown that he's unconventional. He doesn't listen to advice from within the administration. He takes his own decisions. His decisions are unpredictable. So I won't be surprised that when he was meeting Prime Minister Imran Khan, the briefing to him would have been that do not offer to mediate on Kashmir.
All right.
But being President Trump, he would have said, no, I'm going to do something. And he's trying to incentivize Pakistan to be more supportive of the United States in the context of Afghanistan. And I think by raking up Kashmir in some way or the other, he may even feel that it gives him leverage vis-a-vis India. That if he wants to generate pressure on India in some way, then you say that I'm ready to play a more active role. When you are more comfortable, then you sort of step back and say that it is a bilateral issue and the US is ready to assist if both ask. So we'll have to see how this game plays out.
Absolutely, indeed. And also very quickly, Ambassador, one of the key focus of this G7 summit has been about climate change and what is happening in the Amazon rainforest. Do you think that issue will be discussed between Prime Minister Modi and the US President?
I think it is unlikely to be discussed in a big way. It was certainly discussed in the framework of the G7 because the US President himself has not put much focus on climate change issues. And he has tried to take the position that global warming is not happening, climate is not something that the US should spend money on. And so I don't think they are likely to discuss that much.
We'll get to know that when the meeting indeed takes place in just a few minutes' time from now, in roughly about 25 minutes. The Indian Prime Minister and the US President will, of course, be meeting for a bilateral meet. We'll get all the details. Thank you very much indeed, Ambassador, for joining us on this broadcast and beyond. But for the time being...